like I'm... Do you have them already started on stream, or was that just in the IRC?
They started on the IRC, but they haven't started on our... Okay, well, Revolver started.
Yeah, I'm getting a bit of lag between Revolver and Salatman. Maybe around 7 seconds of difference.
Yeah.
Got Revolver around 24 seconds and Salatman around 19 seconds. I'll just make sure to commentate a little bit delayed for Revolver, because I know that they like to get those synced up.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, starting as always with Escape, we're going to be thinking about the basic movement of these players, and we're going to be thinking about a couple little enemy patterns, some random number generation that could give them trouble or could make things a bit easier for them.
Yeah, Escape is pretty... it's something that some Link to the Past runners despise a lot.
Yeah, and certainly, certainly I had a lot more to say about Escape the first time I commentated one of these races, but by now it kind of feels like it's all been said. We saw a little bit of a bad pattern there already for Revolver, so you're going to see that the green guard kind of is following him in that first room, and this can happen, and it just means that you need to do a little bit more cardinal movement, a little less diagonal movement than you would otherwise do. Just one of the many examples of very random places where enemy movements can affect your play in this game. Oh, and a little bit of so Revolver maybe a little rusty. He didn't realize that he had killed that guard too far away from the door to pick up the key automatically when he's holding against the door. So sometimes you just need to be a couple pixels north of the door to pick up the key.
Yeah, I usually like to just stop for a few frames just to make sure I picked up the key.
Yep. Not a huge deal though, and we're certainly seeing the runners pretty a little bit of a trouble on this blue guard too for Revolver.
Yeah.
Okay, so we might be seeing I don't know if Mythical's here, but I should note that okay, so Salatman had a bit of trouble on the green guard though, so maybe some nerves from both of these players. It's certainly a bit different playing for all these people, for all you beautiful people watching.
Beautiful people.
I don't know if Mythical is here, but we can't see the mainstream can't see the timer for Salatman. I just wanted to note that, at least as far as I can say.
Okay, so they both didn't have too much trouble on the ball and chain guy.
Yep, looks like they're exiting pretty comfortably here, both roughly around 320. Ideally, you can cut that back a few seconds, but as we said, we had a couple small problems here.
Yeah. Now all it is bringing Zelda to the sanctuary, and the next part is the basement of Hyrule Castle, which is pretty RNG heavy because we have a bunch of rats and snakes, and their movement patterns are random.
Yeah, and we can definitely at the end of Escape, we can definitely expect both of these players to pick up the Sanctuary Heart. I personally don't see any reason for basically anybody to skip it in a tournament race except maybe Zelma and maybe a couple other players. But certainly these two, I think, make a habit of getting the Sanctuary Heart, and that'll just refill their hearts after Escape and give them an extra heart container for the whole run, which helps out a lot. Really,
yeah, it only takes a few seconds to get.
Yeah, and helps out a lot in Hera and the Palace of Darkness, and in Turtle Rock and a few other places. Misery Mire.
Well, pretty much the whole game for the most part.
It's a little helpful pretty much everywhere. Yeah, definitely some nerves from Revolver. We see that he gets that extra heart pot there. He's already worried with even 1.5 hearts. Definitely not something he would be doing in an RTA, picking up that heart. That does take, maybe half a second for a heart, and he would be refilling his hearts after escape anyway, I believe, like we were talking about.
Yeah, but then again, you can get some pretty bad snake patterns.
Yeah, you can definitely lose health very quickly in escape. My guess would be, if I were to make a guess about the psychology of Revolver right now, my guess would be that he understands that the way upsets have happened in this tournament is through major deaths, through major time losses that can't be overcome through the small time saves that the superior player will gain everywhere. So Revolver probably is going to be playing safe this race, not looking for a PB, not looking to use his very best strats everywhere, but just doing things consistently, and trying not to give Salatman any real edge through a major mistake. We see the 559 escape from Revolver, definitely below his level, but also ahead of
Better than
Salatman.
what you can expect from me.
So yeah, my guess would be that we're going to see Revolver playing fairly cautiously through this entire race. He feels safe with his seat against Salatman, and he just doesn't want anything major to go wrong so that he can continue in the tournament. This is a race in the, what do we call it, the second chance bracket.
Yeah.
So this is a race in the second chance bracket. So the loser will be eliminated. Revolver wants to stay in this tournament, as we all do.
All right, so now we have the first overworld movement. Pretty basic, not much really going on. You can get some pretty bad RNG with the Octorocks that are coming up for both runners. Shoot at the rocks at random, and they also move at random as well. So you want to be careful with that. So yeah, most of Light World is pretty RNG heavy. Once they get to the Dark World, then the rest of the run just becomes more based on skill.
Yeah, that's there's certainly a lot of RNG in 3 of the 4 Light World bosses, and in certain enemy movements in Light World.
Yeah, if you're going for like serious PB attempts on this game, like 70% of the time you would reset on at some point in Light World because of like really stupid stuff.
Yeah, it was. It's certainly. It used to be even more back in the day. The modern kind of aesthetic. I think this is true kind of across all speedrunning, but certainly in Link to the Past. The old way that people used to do it was, if you had a bad escape, a bad Eastern, a bad Lenmolis, or if you fell in Hera, or had a lot of blue balls, you would just reset. People's psychology is a bit different now, and I think a bit healthier, where they say, well, I'm not going to actually improve. I do runs to get a PB, but I also do runs to improve, right? I'm not
Yeah.
going to improve by just playing Light World all day. And that's why you see people's Light Worlds these days are not that much better than they used to be back when I started watching in early 2013. But people's Dark Worlds, the average Dark World has gotten so much better because people are just working so much harder on it. They understand that it's a much harder part of the game and that they shouldn't be resetting constantly.
Dark World's also my favorite part of the game as well. So
yeah, I like late Dark World. I like when things get really intense. Starting with Meyer all through Ganon. The beginning and middle of Dark World, I can find a little tedious sometimes. I do like Light World better than that. What's your favorite dungeon?
Ice Palace.
Really?
Yep.
That is rare. I will say that for a speedrunner, I don't know about for a casual player, but for a speedrunner, I would think that that's pretty rare. But admirable. You like a challenge.
Yeah. Plus, I swirled when I like first started playing this game 3 years ago. It was never really hard for me. When I first like out of any other dungeon.
Do you mean casually or when you?
When I first started playing the game, um, well, yeah, when I first started playing the game casually, it was never really a hard dungeon for me.
Every dungeon was. I'm such a bad casual gamer, to be honest. Every dungeon was hard for me when I played casually. Okay,
Yeah.
so we're seeing Salatman has to grab a few extra arrows. Good for him. He grabs both pots. That's that's an RW strat. You don't grab only one pot because once you grab one, the second one is so close. And we do see that Salatman has. I think Salatman might not be. Is he not coming through on the main stream here? Oh, there he is. Okay, we do see that Salatman has also gotten a sub 11 Eastern for the pending catch at least, and so they're both on pretty good pace.
Yeah, not too much terrible things have went wrong, but there are definitely going to be like certain parts where the equalizers might change.
Yeah, we've seen that in the first two splits, Revolver has finished both about 5 seconds faster than Salatman. You can expect, if things go the way we might expect them to based on what we know about these two players, you can expect that gap to start to widen as we get later in the game. Just as the splits get harder, the differences between players will heighten, I guess is the right word. We do see Salatman getting the rupees at the hut. He skips the bombs, which I think, well, if you're not used to having the bombs, I don't know if he usually gets the bombs or not. If you're not used to having the bombs, then you might as well skip them. But it is 3 bombs, it's a quick way to get 3 bombs. So
Yeah, well, you can get a bomb anyway in Mountain Tower anyway. So
yeah, you get the bombs you need anyway. I would say that if you're a new player and you're doing the slightly slower but much safer rupee route, there's probably places where you might lose bombs anyway. So it's not so bad to get those bombs there. Or especially if you do the very old Bombland Molus strat, which is now very rare because of the new rupee route. But yeah, so we're going to see a bigger gap here, but part of it is imaginary because there's the difference in the rupee count. We'll see Revolver manipulating some trees and pulling on some trees later on to grab some blue and red rupees.
yeah, he also has to kill a certain number of enemies without taking damage. Otherwise, it'll mess up otherwise it'll mess up one of the tree routes that he's going to go for.
Mm-hmm. And that's why it's risky. And a fun fact, once that was found, ACMLM was the one who figured that out. I forget if he looked at the code or if he just tested it. But when that was first found, Zelna, the world record holder and, prohibitive favorite to win the tournament, he was actually one of the last people to switch rupee routes. I don't actually remember why, but it's just an interesting fact about him. One of the few times that he was resistant to a time save. But actually, both of the recent world record holders in this game, Zelna and Crystal, both of them have played pretty safely overall, given what they can do. They've both been very consistent players. And I would recommend that to anybody who's learning speed games. Learn strats that you can get comfortable with so that you're not just in like constant danger of dying. It's a lot less stressful.
And there are definitely strategy guides out there for people to learn like the most consistent ways of going about with certain things. So anyway, so both the runners are now in Desert Palace. It pretty much it's first dungeon that pretty much shows how useful it is to dash around the dungeon instead of walking around, especially on this hallway that Revolver is in.
Yep. And we're going to be seeing in just a little bit. So mostly what they're doing in this dungeon is just dashing around, right? They've got the dash boots now, the Pegasus boots now. They're just kind of training it. Later on, they're going to be fighting this boss, Landmolus, which is 3 worms. And this is actually a very difficult boss to perfect. One of the hardest bosses in the game to really do optimally. We fight them with arrows because arrows do twice the damage of the sword. One of those strats that I don't think almost anybody would do casually. And a very quick Landmolus fight can be very impressive. But once they get out of sync, and once the fight gets slow, it can be really, really time-consuming. So we're going to have to see how both of these players do with that. In several of my own races in this tournament, I've been behind going into Landmolus, but have just gotten very lucky. There is randomness in how they spawn and so forth. So we're gonna
sometimes they can give you a bad day and do a bunch of short hopping, which is really hard to hit them when they're doing short hops.
Yeah, the short hop just gives you far less time to hit them in the head with the arrow, far less of a window. We're going to see Revolver shooting 2 left, 2 right, 2 down, probably because they all spawn in the same place to begin with. So let's watch. So he got 4 of his arrows.
Yeah, 2 cycles most optimal, 3 cycles pretty good.
And we see that, so he's gotten a pretty good patterns, and he's done pretty well, but he had a slight problem, which was that most of his early arrows connected with the same 2 worms. So he had 1 worm left that still had a lot of damage required. And that's really not, you want to take ideally, obviously you can't always based on the positioning, but ideally you want to take all the worms down gradually at kind of roughly the same pace so that you don't have this one left. Often you'll get this just one, troublesome worm at the end that you can't get any arrows into. And you'd rather have 3 worms every time that you can get a shot at.
It takes 4 arrows per Landmola to kill him, or 8 sword attacks, or if you went out of your way to get an ice rod, then 2 ice rod shots.
Yeah, the ice rod strats we haven't seen yet this tournament, I think. But again, not perfect play from either, but both of them are surviving. Both of them are still in it. We had a sub 18 from Salatmann. We had a sub 1730 from Revolver. Certainly Revolver, I think, would want a sub 17 overall. Something that used to be almost impossible, but now is done regularly with a few technical innovations in the game.
All right, no soft lock from Revolver. Let's see how Salatmann will do on this trick.
Yeah, and let's I can explain this trick really quickly, I guess. Both players are using fake flippers. That's when you fall into the water and then transition to the next screen right as you fall. And that makes the game kind of forget to check whether you actually have the flippers. And Salatmann does just fine with it. Because of the setup involving slashing the bush, it's really one of the easiest tricks in the game, but it also doesn't save that much time.
Yeah, it saves about like 6 seconds if you, assuming that you do it really good.
Yeah, I do think that 6 seconds is probably an underestimate, just because there's some. I think that actually once you have fake flippers down, the overworld movement that you would be doing otherwise is actually more difficult than the fake flippers trick. So my guess is that it saves somewhat more than 6 seconds. So we're seeing Revolver, a little bit of a problem for Revolver. He's trying to do this super speed trick where you get into a glitch state by using the Pegasus boots 1 frame after you release a sword spin. But he's never been good at this trick. He plays on emulator and keyboard, and what we normally do on controller is not really available. There's a little flick of the wrist you can do to set that up for just the very next frame. And he's never found a setup that really works for him on keyboard. So he definitely loses some time not being able to get that trick. We're seeing Salatman getting it just fine. And Salatman actually getting hit there, I believe, is actually optimal, because he doesn't waste time with the rest of his sword spin. So it takes time for the sword to finish spinning. Salatman didn't have to watch that animation. He got hit and it canceled the sword. I don't know if that saves time overall, given that you need to refill that heart at the end of the dungeon.
Tears Mountain Tower, probably the hardest Light World dungeon in the game.
Yeah, certainly. Like Aghanim's Tower that we'll see right after this, and like Ganon's Tower at the end of the game, for a while it's just difficult room after difficult room, just kind of a gauntlet of difficult rooms. But you also have this this tile room that they're both in right now, which is basically there's nothing to do. This dungeon will see the first bomb jump. We'll see another difficult boss in Moldorm. Yeah, definitely. And you know, Death Mountain is always the difficult part of the most difficult part of any overworld, basically.
This is where most of my resets come from, pretty much.
Yep, very common to have a lot of Hera resets. Or even one of the best players of this game, Blunt Bunny, his current personal best has Fall to Moldorm in it, and that's with a low 125. So even very top players still have a lot of trouble with this dungeon. I actually missed the bomb jump in this dungeon in one of my early races in this tournament. So let's see if Revolver gets it. So he places the bomb, then
Nice.
he moves up a little bit just to make sure that he's on a good pixel, and then he bonks. The bonk will give you several more pixels of leeway because it changes, I believe it changes Link's movement speed after getting damage boosted by the bomb.
Yeah, there's another method that you can do, which is which I do it this way. I don't know if any other people do it that way, but you can also stand like either 1 or 2 pixels away from the pit, and it'll still bring you across.
So you don't do the bonk?
No.
No. Okay. Well, that's I don't know if I'm allowed to say. Probably I'm allowed to say ballsy on this. Nobody's gonna mind if I say ballsy on this. I would call that ballsy.
I'd call it fucking ballsy. You can you need to say. We got a Moldorm kill there. Hopefully that's synced up on stream. I wanted to get you guys synced.
Okay, so I'm at 23:15 for Revolver and 23:13 for Salatman.
Okay, I'm already synced up.
Bring Revolver down a second and Salat up a second.
Okay, so I'm not on live streamer, so I'll just delay my Revolver commentary about 2 seconds from now on.
All right.
I don't know if that works for. Hopefully that's okay.
Yeah, it'll work. It's just hard to do.
It'll approximately work, yeah. So Salatman having well, not exactly.
Okay, good fight.
Not exactly the model Moldorm fight, but he gets through it. Often in this game, things don't go to script because there's all this randomness, and so you need to be kind of scrappy. And props to Salatman for doing that. We saw that he did get hit a lot near the end, but he managed to position himself so that he got hit into that little those stairs that only go, those one-way stairs, you know, the thing that you jump off to get into the fight. That meant that he didn't get knocked off, and he just found an opening to kill Moldorm with a slash on the last hit. That's very rare. Normally, you're not going to want to slash him on the last hit because he changes direction so quickly and he moves so quickly. So good work by Salatman just staying in there. And we saw that looking at his splits now, that Hera, he must have had, maybe he fell in his PB. He had some kind of problem in his personal best there in Hera that he didn't have here. So he's actually on pretty good pace. We'll see how the randomness in Aghanim's Tower goes for him. his split said that he had 6 blue balls in his PB, so we might see Salatman on yet again PB pace. I believe he's gotten at least 1 PB already during this tournament. So definitely exciting to see somebody improving this much over the course of this this amazing tournament. We're seeing Revolver now killing enemies. He needs to kill 4 enemies and not take damage so that the rupees come out red coming out of this tree. And we see that they do. He gets an extra red rupee just because why not?
Alright, he's good on rupees for the rest of the run.
Yep.
Yeah, you need a total of 620 rupees throughout the whole run. So, he'll be getting the rest of the rupees automatically.
And rupees are definitely a lot more difficult to find in Light World. In Dark World, there's 3 fairly convenient 300 rupee chests. One of them just happens to be a bit less convenient than the other 2, so we don't pick it up in this run. But naturally, in a casual run, the game expects people to be picking up rupees everywhere. You know, when you kill an enemy and it drops a rupee, you go pick it up, right? Yeah. You don't have time for that jazz in a speedrun. So we see Revolver is not doing the prize pack manipulation. He does drop a fairy from these blue guards, so he's not going to be getting the extra fairy in T-Rock. Really a nifty new strat when we do manipulate that prize pack, because it's much more useful to get the fairy in Turtle Rock and the big magic in Turtle Rock. There's a danger now that he'll even drop the big magic on the bridge in Palace of Darkness. Just to explain a little bit about prize packs, a bunch of enemies are all linked to the same set of drops, and they drop it on a schedule, and almost every enemy in the game has a 50% chance of dropping something in its prize pack. So if these guys, if these blue guards that Salatman is on now, if they drop the heart and then the fairy, the next enemy in that group will drop a big magic. But we want the fairy and the big magic to drop when we get to certain enemies in this group in Turtle Rock. So Salatman definitely has a small advantage on drops there. Although I believe it's not a huge deal for Salatman because he also gets the powder. We saw him get the mushroom, so that's going to be a route difference. Kind of midway through, well, early on in Dark World and Thieves Town, we're going to see Salatman flute to the Witch's Hut and get the powder, which is by far the strongest safety in the game, I believe, especially in late game at least. And we're seeing Revolver coming up on Aghanim, or some people call him Agading Dong, I believe, these days. certainly
I've never heard of that before.
Well, maybe nobody does that. Maybe I just remember somebody hearing that. So Aghanim, definitely one of the most hated bosses in the game. The reason is that
really, I seem to like him.
Are you? So it seems like some players get really good RNG very consistently on Aghanim, and some people don't. Well, what's going to be happening is that Revolver is going to be, and Salatman in just a second.
Yeah, that's one.
Yeah, that's one blue ball.
Anybody in chat want to predict how many blue balls each runner is going to get? I'm going to guess 2 and 3.
2 and 3. That would be. I think both runners would be happy with either 2 or 3. Although there is a big difference between 2 and 3. So we see that one of Aghanim's attacks you can reflect black, and one of them you can't reflect back. And obviously it's better to keep reflecting his attacks back. And
2,
3. Okay. So you were right on the 3. We'll see about the 2 for Salatman. And the other problem is that at 3 blue balls, 7 blue balls, 11 blue balls, and 15 blue balls, there's an extra lightning attack. So every normal attack takes 7 seconds, or 6 or 7 seconds, and so does every lightning attack. And so this can be a huge random number generation factor. And certainly for many players can be the difference between, you know, a good run and a bad run. Probably maybe there's been a race in this tournament where it was the difference between winning and losing. I know in my race against Blunt Bunny, I got 3 blue balls and he got 9. It turned out that we were separated by over a minute, but that alone was almost a minute. And it's just it can be a huge difference here.
Somebody in the chat predicted 15 for both runners.
That's pretty unlikely. But Salatman might make it there.
Oh.
Salatman, so this is very unfortunate because Salatman was on such good pace and he's running against a personal best with 6 blue balls. But it looks like Aghanim is just not a big fan of Salatman because he is just continuing to get blue ball after blue ball. This is some of the worst luck that I think I've seen in this entire tournament. I believe we're on 6 blue balls already. And now I think that's 7.
Oh my god.
So we've got it's really oh no, this is at least 8 already.
I think so. I actually lost count.
So this is really unfortunate. We've got 3 blue balls versus 8 blue balls, and a very good pace for Salatman. PB pace for Salatman was now pretty damaged by that. The difference between 6 blue balls and 8 blue balls is about 20 seconds. And he's also, you know, we saw he was trying his best to catch up to Revolver. I was kind of hoping that there would be a separation in blue balls in the other direction so that we would have a bit of a closer race, but this is just putting Salatman so far behind Revolver. I think we're seeing now close to a 2-minute separation, so that means that Revolver can probably take a death to most Dark World bosses and still be comfortably ahead, especially after Salatman gets the powder. So at this point, coming out of Light World and starting the Palace of Darkness, gotta say that Revolver has done everything he has to stay in this race and stay in the tournament, coming out of the second chance bracket.
Now they're making their way to Dark World. It's actually really important that both runners go through that they make their way to Dark Palace and go through Dark Palace without taking more than 3 hearts of damage, because Helmut Sword is really hard, and the other is because it'll make the later half of the dungeon easier to go through.
Yeah, we're gonna see Revolver coming up on the hammer bomb jump. This was a trick that was discovered in late 2012, around when I started watching the game, and was first used kind of publicly in the AGDQ 2013 run by Cypher, which was so good until Ganon's Tower and a little bit of a magic issue.
Yeah, he was on world record pace at that point. It would have been really amazing.
That's a beautiful run. Yeah, Cypher, every now and then there's somebody like Cypher who practices the game so much but just doesn't grind it. And who knows how good Cypher could have been if he had done RTAs of this game back in the day, or even now. Cypher also responsible for certain strats in the game. There was oops, Revolver missing that arrow, he has to fall down. Yeah, people, I like to talk about the people behind the game, the people you might not see running. But Cypher is somebody who put together a pack of, kind of a strat pack, a pack of videos of various strategies way back in the day that people still use to figure out the best ways through certain rooms. Revolver a little low on arrows on this Mimic's room, but picks up 5. Doesn't get that 10 drop I might have. And now he's going into the basement of Palace of Darkness. We're going to see the Turtle Room, which needs to be done fairly precisely, and we're going to see Helmut Sword King. Very difficult boss, but with the Sankart, you can take 4 hits rather than just the 3 that you could take without it, so that gives you a little bit of leeway.
Here's to show how useful sword beams are in this later half of the dungeon.
Yeah, hitting that switch, hitting the switch before, and just not needing to pick up any extra hearts, because you want all 7 hearts going into Helmasaur King. You want to be able to take all 4 hits, because his movement is random, and his attacks are random, whether he shoots at a red fireball or hits its tail. Sometimes he doesn't really do either. Sometimes he just kind of waits and watches you. We're seeing no red fireballs yet from Helmasaur King for Revolver. Very friendly Helmasaur King. You need 17 hammer hits on the helmet, and then you need 8 points of damage. An arrow or a Master Sword slash does 1 point of damage. A Master Sword spin or a hammer hit, they do 2 points of damage. So Revolver was going for 3 hammer hits and then a spin. He didn't get the spin off, but he basically had the perfect fight there. Very, very friendly Helmasaur King, so no trouble there, and still staying very comfortably ahead in this race.
You can also use bombs to break his mask as well, which will do more damage, but it's really hard to do it.
That's probably what most of us did casually. Would be my guess. And until recently, the Japanese runners. So the history of this game, Japanese runners, I believe, had begun mastering this game before American runners. But a few Americans in maybe 2010, including Crystal and Oddity and Cypher and Jaden, I believe, really improved a lot of the strats, including switching to hammer here instead of using bombs. The bomb strat is just
really hard.
It's very hard to do perfectly, very hard to do reliably. We see Salatman having a pretty friendly Helmasaur King as well. This might be a gold split for him. Maybe not quite, but very close. So Salatman is not out of it. He's definitely not out of PBing, and he's not out of this race with Revolver either. I can't say enough good things about how Salatman has played all through this tournament and his improvements. So I really hope people keep watching him on the left here, because very good chance of improving his personal best this run. I think he's just playing quite well. And it's a shame about the 8 blue balls. But
now you know you have a minute to save on your next run.
Yep, exactly. It's not so bad, right? It's not so bad for next time.
That's kind of the glory of PBing over bad runs.
Yeah, it's nice. I go back and forth. Some runs there's no like really good split where I can't save time, and every split is just kind of decent, and that's a PB. And those can be comfortable to run against, but sometimes it's better to run against PBs where there's some awful split where you save time every time.
Yeah.
And that can be really comfortable, where you say, okay, I'm burning time everywhere, but just wait until Ice Palace or wait until Misery Mire or whatever, and I know I'm going to come back there. So just give it a chance. And I think it's better if it's late too. It's psychologically bad, I think, if you have a bad early split and you lose time. You gain time everywhere early on, and you're just dropping it. Yeah, so we saw Salatman get hit by that bird. You really don't have to be, but there's a few different strats for movement in that area. Some of them are riskier than others. Getting hit by that bird does take 3 hearts, and 3 hearts of damage in this overworld is a lot. You can definitely lose health pretty quickly in Thieves Town, but I'll say that Salatman will be getting the powder, so not as much of a concern for him. And he also might refill on health. You can ask the the dude in the dress or whatever in the witch's house who is sitting next to the powder. Oh, and we saw actually a little bit of a health problem for Revolver too.
he was on 7.5 hearts, which is a good amount going into Thieves Town, but he fell into that ghost when he was opening up Thieves Town. Something I think most of us have done at least once.
I think what Salatman was trying to do right there was he's trying to dig out a heart while the flute was out, but didn't find any.
He also may have been going for the... There's been a few memes in this tournament. He may have been going for the 4 dig, which IR Godzilla started.
Yeah, so technically you can skip that cutscene where the animals leave the screen, but that's really only useful in 100%, because in that category you go back to the Dark World to get a couple heart pieces, while in this category you have to be in the Dark World anyway.
Yeah, so Revolver's health situation, not ideal at all. So these things, these little green things, they definitely do more damage than it looks like they ought to. There's a lot of things in Thieves Town that can do 2 hearts of damage, so hypothetically, he's 1 bad hit away from death. There are going to be some hearts in the jail, in the prison area where he gets his kind of, crazy girlfriend who turns into blind. I think we've all been there in our romantic situations. Hopefully he just doesn't get hit on the way there, and I think he will get those hearts. There's also another heart right before the boss hit, right before blind. No, he didn't get those hearts, and I would have recommended that he did. But if we just look at this objectively, like I was saying, this brings them closer, which I'm personally a fan of. It makes the race more exciting, but this death will cost about a minute. He needs to go up and hit the switch again. I don't know exactly what he's doing with it. He's forgetting how to recover from this death, so that's taking a little bit of time.
Go through all this again. He has to go through the hallway. But
he
he doesn't
has to go through the hallway again, and he has to hit the switch. But he doesn't need to bomb the floor again. He doesn't need to do that much again. He is just forgetting what to do, though. He needs to go up these stairs.
This can be really he found it, I think.
Yeah.
He found his way.
You do exactly what you would normally do, except you don't have to get the big key. So I'm not sure exactly what he would. And you don't need to get that key either, Revolver.
Oh, yeah, that muscle memory is really getting the best of him.
He's just not quite sure what to do, but what you do is basically the same as what you normally do. And he just needs to hit the switch and then go right. So it's not that different from normal when you die before Blind and Thieves. So he's gonna hit.
There's a pixel perfect area where if you go stand exactly in the middle, Salatman got it. Yes,
just
love
that.
Yep. I love that.
Excellent timing on that. So you need both the pixel and you need the RNG, and he got both. And you'll see that some of the enemies that looks like they're gonna damage you, and you just go through them. Other enemies, they will hit you, and at first it can be a little hard to figure out when you have the right enemy patterns to do that.
Yeah.
We see Salatman taking a bit of damage too, and throwing a bomb the wrong way. Hopefully he picks up this bomb. He does have the powder. Revolver is low on health again.
He's a little... Yeah, so Salatman can go through the rest of the dungeons in the game a little bit easier than Revolver, since Revolver did not pick up a powder, so that's gonna be a little bit costly for him.
Definitely an advantage. I can't remember a race where we saw both players having this much health trouble in Thieves Town. Revolver has died again.
Oh, man.
He got hit in this conveyor belt and it knocked him off, and that was the last piece of health. It took 2 hearts because it knocked him off.
Okay, well, at least since he has nothing else, since he doesn't have anything else to do in the dungeon, he can just go straight to the boss. Oh wait, he has to go get the main. Never mind.
To pick up his crazy girlfriend again, and that means he needs to do exactly everything that he just did. He needs to do again. But at least he knows now He knows now what to do. And I wish Revolver had been listening to me both times. I was saying, you got to pick up those hearts, just play it safe. I thought the Revolver's mindset going in, watching him in Escape, I thought he was just saying, I need to play safe everywhere just to get through this race without any problems. So I personally think Revolver's now behind Salatman. That hasn't happened yet this race. So I personally think Revolver made some bad decisions in that jail. I know it takes time and it's annoying to get those hearts, but there's just no reason not to do it in this position in the race. And
He's having a lot of trouble in that hallway.
Regardless of a better Light World, regardless of a better Helmasaur King fight, a better bomb jump, 3 blue balls versus 8 blue balls, he now has 2 deaths here in Thieves Town. He's down to 2 hearts again. Revolver needs to play it safe. There's no reason to be taking these deaths right now. Just pick up these hearts, please, Revolver.
Yeah, you can get a bunch of hearts from you can get like a few hearts in the jail cell that he's in right now, or you can also kill the blue enemies as well.
He's just not doing it. He's just dashing all the way through. So let me just explain a little bit about what Revolver is thinking. Revolver is thinking there's no RNG in the blind fight. So he can do the blind fight perfectly. There's no risk there. It's the same every time. So he doesn't need many hearts for that fight. But every now and then something will go wrong, and there's stuff between where he was in that fight. Now he's on the fight, so I feel pretty good that he'll get through this time.
Okay, here we go. All right. He got through his first phase. And by the way, every attack does basically the same damage in blind fight.
Yeah, and you need 3 points of damage no matter what sword it's from, or from a sword. Oh my god,
Oh man, and that was the last hit too.
And now he has to do the refight.
Yeah, the refight's a little harder because blind already spawns, and he doesn't start in the middle either.
Yeah,
so
he's not going to be able to get to the sword beams. Ladies and gentlemen, this race just got very exciting, and we're going to be watching Revolver making a comeback for the rest of this game. I don't know why he is not. He is a conservative player, and he was playing conservatively for this race. I know he wanted to stay in this tournament. I'm not sure why he took so many chances on a split that can be completely by the book every time. So I'm just hoping that Revolver doesn't go on tilt. I'm hoping that he gets through this refight. It's much harder than the original because it is not. There is RNG. It's not by the book every time. It's much harder to do programmatically and schematically every time. We see that.
I wonder if somebody has ever practiced, like actually practicing the refight.
I believe some people have. Well, in reverse boss order, we do the refight because you have to get stuff in Thieves, and it's fastest to spawn blind and then mirror out before the fight begins. So my guess is that at least Super Scooge has practiced doing the refight optimally. But yeah, this race is really interesting now because we will see, I promise you that we will see Revolver gaining ground through Dark World.
Yeah.
But I don't
Still
know.
A lot of crap going on in this.
It's a big gap now, and Salatman saved time again on his Thieves Town split. We may be looking at a man trying to PB in Salatman, and in Revolver we may be looking at a player who has gone on tilt and is not interested in playing safe because he doesn't feel like he should have to. He has a 126. He doesn't feel like he should have to get extra hearts for the blind fight. And that's true, but in a tournament race situation, especially when you're rusty like Revolver, no! Okay, so this is a big...
Oh, that happened to me last night.
I'm not even sure.
Oh,
I'm
man.
not even sure Salatman knows what to do here. And he tries to mirror, but he doesn't realize when you mirror there, you just go back to...
yeah.
Hopefully, well, I was going to say somebody's in the chat. You can't do it by dying either, Salatman. That's not going to help.
Yeah, this happened to me last night. But basically, what you have to do is you have to find a key in order to go through that locked door, and in order to get out of there. And it'll take you to the fire rod room, but you can't get the fire rod because you don't have the big key. So that's the so he has to find a key.
So he needs to find the key. It's in the chest. It should be. I mean,
it is in the chest.
It's not a hard puzzle. It's in the chest, and then you go up. I will say this has got to be one of the strangest.
Whoa! Oh my god. Okay.
In terms of maybe the past 5 or 10 minutes of this race, it's one of the strangest segments in terms of both players of a race that I've commentated this tournament or that I've watched this tournament. Both have been playing so uncharacteristically, and the mistakes have been so rare. I'm just very curious to see how they both react psychologically and what we see from the end of this race, because it may be that Salatman realized that he was ahead of Revolver and that he actually had a chance in this race despite the gap in PBs. And despite
that Wall Master. Okay, going for the ferry. That's
going for the
pretty
ferry,
safe.
good, nice and safe.
Yeah, this is not the first time where we've seen runners go for safeties and other runners don't go for safeties, and then the runners that actually do get the safeties end up actually pulling it off over the ones that actually take a risk.
Yeah, certainly. And certainly, even if the safeties are the same, it's very frequent to see a better runner just take a death. That's why races in this game are so hard to predict sometimes, unless you have, some of the very best players are incredibly consistent, but some of them aren't. You can usually predict that Zelna won't take a death, but even Zelna dies sometimes.
Okay. Salatman took it safe by mirroring out.
We see Revolver taking that mummy damage. When that mummy's in the way, it can be very difficult, and sometimes it seems like he's always in the way. I gotta say, I'm worried about the mindset of both of these players right now. My guess is that they're both on tilt pretty much.
Those Ropas can be pretty annoying when going through the overworld of Skullwoods.
And you especially, just for anybody who hasn't seen it, anybody who's thinking of picking up the game, good Revolver not taking the extra hit of damage there. The Ropas do 2 hearts of damage, and if you die in the overworld, you go back to the Pyramid of Power, where you come out, where you fight Ganon in the end, where you come out after Aghanim's Tower, and so on.
And that's basically a lot of time lost if you die, because you have to make your way back into Skullwoods.
It's an awful death, one of the worst in the game. Oh, okay, we're seeing, well, he picked up the key. That was really weird. Did you see how he picked up the key?
Yeah.
The hand, what do we call him?
Wall Master.
The Wall Master picked him up through the key. So obviously there's no verticality to this game. Oh my god, and we're seeing a possible lead change again here.
Okay, good thing that
drop there. Revolver is already all the way back to Salatman. So we see this was truly...
Wow, what a game changer.
A disaster of a Skullwoods for Salatman. I feel so bad for him. These mistakes were so uncharacteristic.
Whoa, what are you doing? You already got the key!
Yeah, Revolver trying not to get Wallmastered there the same way. Getting an extra heart, playing very safe.
Okay,
now
so Revolver getting... Okay.
This is
Wow, I'm actually liking this race now.
Yeah, I'm loving. I was feeling bad about not having much to say when we thought Revolver was just way ahead, but
yeah.
This is really interesting right now, and we're gonna see so much. Seeing them even at this point.
Oh, Revolver pulled ahead because we had a better moth fight. Okay, we're still good.
So you can see that the Mothula fight is very variable. Neither of those players had a great moth fight. But Revolver just managed to hit Mothula more, not against the spikes.
Yeah, so you can't hit Mothula when he's over spikes, otherwise then he takes no damage for some reason. Thankfully, if you're playing the GBA version of the game, that actually is taken out, so he's much easier in that version. I think Salatman might lose like a few frames because it takes time for after every dungeon to refill your hearts and magic. Yeah, that's something that's not really mentioned much. Is that it's really important that you complete every dungeon with as much magic and hearts as possible, because it takes some frames for your hearts and magic to refill at the end of each dungeon.
Yep, and that's one reason why some of us prefer timing from the sword clicking up at the end of the dungeon rather than timing from grabbing a pendant or a crystal, just because it takes that into account, how you did magic and heart-wise through the dungeon. So Salatman getting a few bonks here. Let's just look at the time loss here. He lost a cool 2 minutes to his personal best in Skull Woods. He probably lost more than that to Revolver. I'm sure he was more than 2 minutes ahead. Now he is about a screen behind. And we're coming up on your favorite dungeon, but maybe not these players' favorite dungeons. Ice Palace. There's a lot of issues in Ice Palace. A lot of not the most fun overworld. You can lose hearts in the overworld. I think both of these players are fairly safe so far.
Yeah, that Ropa that both of them just pass. Sometimes it can hit you, which it's important to have full hearts in Ice Palace because it makes a couple rooms easier to go through.
Yeah, and obviously a death to Cold Stare. If you die to Cold Stare, you have to, because you don't get a single. There's only one key that you pick up. There's 2 keys that you pick up throughout. It's 2, right? There's 2 keys that you pick up
I think so.
through the entirety of Ice Palace. And you don't get the big key and you don't get the big chest. So basically you need to do almost the entirety of Ice Palace exactly the same again if you die to Cold Stare. And you need to start by farming magic, which you can do in a variety of ways. And so a Cold Stare death is probably the worst death in the game. It's up there with Trinet. Well, Aghanim 2 is the worst death in the game, and Aghanim 1 is probably pretty bad too, but those are rare.
Usually really long dungeons that have hard bosses are usually like really scary in a run.
Yeah. And Ice Palace is one of the shortest dungeons, but it's just that you have to do it exactly the same way again. Now, if you think about the past 2 dungeons, where Revolver died to Blind, he just went right back and fought him again. Blind was right there, and we saw Salatman got picked up by that Wallmaster. Well, he just went right back too, right? But in Ice Palace, you can't go right back. You need to descend through, the circles of ice hell again.
Yeah. And casually, this dungeon is really long. There's about I believe it's 10 floors that you have to go through. Go all the way around, get a big key. You get the item Blue Mail, which you're not going to be seeing at all throughout any of these guys because you need the hook shot in order to get the big key. Yeah, it can be. There's just a lot of puzzles in Ice Palace if you're playing this dungeon casually.
So we're seeing from Salatman a little bit of ice physics. If you know how to do it, which some of us don't, and I've probably. Maybe people haven't noted it when I've run, but you can see me dashing on ice a lot because I'm not really good at ice physics.
Yeah.
But if you can slash and use items on ice, and that will change your speed. And that can often be faster than dashing, based on how far you are from wherever you want to go. So we saw Salatman doing that a bit. So props to him for understanding the ice physics. We're seeing both of them in this room where you're trying to bomb. You're trying to bomb the floor here, and they're both doing a similar strat, but kind of in a different way. If you throw it right on the corner there, you can use the bomb to hit the switch as well.
Revolver intentionally taking damage to go to dash through that hallway.
And now we're going to see the Ice Palace bomb jump. The biggest time saver in the game of the bomb jumps.
Yes.
Also the second most difficult after the hammer bomb jump.
I believe that saves about 5 minutes of the whole dungeon by pulling that bomb jump off.
It's certainly a few minutes. I forget. I think it's less than 5 minutes because before hovers in the no damage run, you couldn't do the bomb jump, and you had to go get the big key and everything. So if you watch Crystal's low percent no damage world record, she'll go around and do the whole dungeon. And I don't think it's 5 minutes, but I do think it's maybe 2 or 3.
Yeah, but this dungeon definitely is long without that bomb jump.
It's a very long dungeon without the bomb jump, and a very long walk back with a Cold Stare death. So we're seeing Salatman losing a little bit of time, but actually in my honest opinion, Salatman has held his own in this Ice Palace. He's not losing that much time to Revolver. Revolver, a much more experienced player, a much better PB, and Salatman, we're seeing him just a few rooms behind when they came in, when he was already behind coming in. So we're going to see Revolver try and keep Cold Stare in the corner here.
Yes!
He does a great job of it. So you want to keep hitting all three of them at the same time and just knocking them back into the corner here. Great work by Revolver. I believe Salatman is on gold pace for this segment, so props to both of them. We're not seeing any of the tilt that we talked about. We're just seeing two very good Ice Palaces. Do not save and quit. He hits
Oh, God.
Okay, so that's a bit of a miss.
Save and quit's not allowed. It's no major glitches, yo.
Yeah, that's a bit of a misclick. And so Salatman actually lost a gold there, I believe, if my memory serves for how long this cutscene takes, because he hit the fire rod an extra time, and because he hit select. So a little bit of some issues on Cold Stare there, but still very close to a gold split there. Revolver had a 624 Ice Palace, which is quite good. Very top players will go for a 6-1x, or I think even Zelda can do a 6-0x, but a 624 is not bad at all. And I just want to commend both of these players for keeping their heads about them during this very difficult segment after so many issues early on in Dark World. So still a close race. Props to Salatman for keeping it close. And we'll see what both of them do in Swamp. Hopefully no issues in Swamp. As far as I know, only one runner has died to Argus so far this tournament, and that guy is just a complete idiot. That was me. So probably we won't see anything major here. I don't think either player does 0 cycle Argus, which is I believe maybe a 5 or 10 second time save on the boss. So we can probably see maybe not that much of a gain here. But after this split, after Swamp, we're going to see Meyer, T-Rock, and Ganon's Tower. And Ganon, those are the highest skill portions of the game. And I kind of hope that Salatman gains some ground until then so that we can see them going in even. And people can see just how Revolver can save so much time over Salatman in those splits.
Oh, I love that strat in that first room.
Which one? Sorry.
Where you dash to kill all the spiders, and then the chest just spawns right in front of you.
Oh yeah, when you're right there.
Yeah,
well, let me tell you
that strat.
For some reason, I have started hating that room because the spiders. I used to think they were always like right in front of me, but I think my swimming has changed, and every now and then the spiders will not be in the right place, based on your swimming or maybe based on RNG.
Yeah, Salatman got it too.
Yeah. It can be a real time loss when the spiders start running away from you and you need to slash them and stuff.
Yeah. It's also even more annoying when sword beams like overwrite your sword damage at times. So yeah, Swamp Palace is pretty straightforward. It's one of the more easier Dark World dungeons, especially since they're coming coming over here like now with like a bunch of equipment. So this dungeon definitely is like really easy. Though there's a lot of RNG involved there's still some little things that can go wrong.
Some people call it Escape 2.0 because it's not very difficult, but it can be very annoying just based on enemy movements changing. We have seen Revolver forget to hit this.
Like what's happening right now in Revolver with this red guy
right in front of him, yeah. Do hit the switch. Okay, good.
Yeah, you can leave that switch on for a shortcut, but if you go later into the dungeon, you're gonna realize it's not useful at all.
Yeah, there's just you gotta hit it. And I don't think there's a single other switch in the dungeon, is there?
I don't think so. I haven't explored every part of the dungeon before. I don't think I've ever actually explored every single part of every single dungeon at all, like in my life before.
Yeah, there was We were thinking of making a map completion category like Super Metroid has for this game, where obviously there's no overworld map like the dungeon map, so we wouldn't do it for the overworlds.
So like an all dungeon map completion?
Yeah, like, so whenever any map you can see, every room is visited. So you have to get the map and the compass in every dungeon so that you can show that, or at least the map, I guess. And you have to, you have to be able to show every room as completed, because that would give you some, it was just cool because a lot of us were like, well, this game is pretty, a lot of people have done a lot of really good work on strats for this game. Although, even rooms that have been so figured out, people will figure out new stuff for every now and then. Even players who are not, not the very best players of the game will find really amazing new stuff to save time, or to play safer, or to deal with RNGs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So there's still opportunities for innovation in this game. So I don't know. I never know what to say about Swamp, to be honest. They're gonna get the hook shot. I believe this is the first instance of a hook shot in a Zelda game. Historically, Link to the Past definitely. I would say after Zelda 1, Link to the Past was, established. Well, maybe after OOT as well, because it was the first 3D Zelda. But Link to the Past definitely established many of the, tropes of the Zelda series. A lot of things that you see all through the Zelda series, you first saw in Link to the Past. And it made such great use of the Super Nintendo in such interesting ways. And because it's so large, and it managed to manipulate the very small Super Nintendo into making this very enormous game. And that's where a lot of the glitches come from taking advantage of the ways that they were able to program the game efficiently.
Very nice Argus fight.
Yeah, very, very clean. No zero cycle and no quick kill, but no problem. Not a sub 7 Swamp, but that's fine. Nothing to
Argus
worry
is definitely
about.
really easy. This is the reason why we do this dungeon route, is so we have the Temper Sword, and the Temper Sword makes a lot of bosses, or makes a lot of dungeons look really easy.
Yeah, like I said, I think only one person has died on Argus during this tournament, and that person is just really bad at this game.
For watching this, we apologize for bringing you down.
Oh well, it's me, so.
Oh. Well.
It was an embarrassing moment. I'm happy to, I keep bringing it up so that I keep embarrassing myself. So Salatman's done with Argus too.
What?
Salatman's done with Argus as well.
Yeah, and no soft block from any of them. That's good.
I think we were looking at maybe 45 seconds of difference between the two of them.
Argus has a chance of soft locking. It happened to me once. I don't know why. I don't know why it happened. Because I don't. He like sometimes he can like you can kill all the puffs, but then he just won't go to his final phase at all. Alright, so both runners are now on their way to Death Mountain to go get Ether, and then they're on their way to Misery Mire, which I hate this dungeon so much.
Yeah, Misery Mire, definitely one of the most painful dungeons. I believe casually, personally, I remember it being very painful, and also in a speedrun, it can be very painful. Probably of all the dungeons of the game, in my opinion, it's the one where health management is the most crucial. Not if you have powder, so this is a dungeon where powder comes so much in handy. I'm sure you will see Salatman fighting the boss on full health. But for Revolver, he's going to have some issues he's going to need to not lose more than, let's say, 2 hearts of extraneous damage. Then there's 3 hearts of damage that he has to lose during the dungeon to get a key that's on spikes. And then there's going to be 5 or 6 hearts of damage that he has to take to beat the boss efficiently, to beat it close to optimally. I don't know what we just saw there. Did Revolver go to get... So I think Revolver went to get the Ice Rod, but forgot that he doesn't get the Ice Rod here anymore. No, he did get the Ice Rod. Oh, so Revolver fluted back to 8. Is that right? Did I see that right? I need to watch more closely. I believe Revolver may have fluted back to 8. Instead of...
I think I missed it.
Yeah, he went to pick up Ice Red twice, K-Rob is saying. So yeah. He went to pick up Ice Red twice. And so he lost, I don't know how much time is a miss flute? Like 15? No, like 5 or 10 seconds.
Somewhere around that, because yeah, it takes some time for the bird to come to you.
Yeah.
So yeah, the reason Misery Mire is really hard is because after Ice Palace, if you're doing the dungeons in order, the dungeons Ice Palace and onwards actually do a lot of damage because the game expects you to have blue mail.
Salatman doing the bird toss, so we can get some hype in the chat for the bird toss. He also did the 4 digs, so props to Salatman. We've got the memes going on from Salatman, even though he's behind. I admire Salatman in this race and in this tournament. 8 blue balls, the really painful Skull Woods, and still giving us the memes. So that second room in Mire with all the Wizrobes, the Wizrobes disappear and then come back, and you just don't want to give them a chance to disappear once. So there's various strats. Neither player did the very most efficient strat. I think they both did the strat that I do. You can basically kill them all before they disappear. Even if you don't kill them as quickly as possible, it saves a lot of time over having to wait for one of them. So we call that a 1 cycle. Basically, just like you can have cycles on bosses where they do some action and then go back, often an action where they're invulnerable. You can have those on normal enemies too, like Igors, for example, who close their eyes in Eastern Palace, and certainly on those Wizrobes. So they both got the 1 cycle there. And
musical straps that Salatman is doing right now. You can shoot the fire rod as the blocks are moving.
And I've still never tested whether it's fastest to do that on the last block or if it's fastest to walk down, like both of these players did. My instinct always told me that it would be fastest to walk down, but I guess I think
it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I think they're about equal because you have to. It's either waiting for the block to push or not being able to dash and walking instead.
Yeah, I think most people just don't move that last block so they're closer to the exit.
Timon giving us some fake spoilers in chat. Timon, please. So Revolver, fortunately for Revolver and Revolver fans, unfortunately for the race staying close, Revolver is very safe right now with 10 hearts going into the basement of Misery Mire. Just to talk a little bit about the boss Vitreous while you watch him do these rooms, I'm sure he'll do them quite fine and you can figure out what he's doing on your own. In Vitreous, the eyeballs that walk around do 4 hearts of damage, the lightning does 2 hearts of damage, and the
slime itself does 1 heart.
The slime itself does 1 heart, and you'll often take double damage from the slime while you're waiting. So the strat you're going to see them do, they're going to walk into the slime, they're going to charge a sword spin before they do that, and then they're going to release the sword spin in the slime to hit a lot of the small eyes. This is a very quick strat. Often you can do it, you can finish the fight, well not often, it's difficult to, but you can finish the fight
if you do it well, before Vitreous lets off even a single lightning. So let's see how that goes for Revolver. First spin, he hit a lot of eyes there.
Yes. Oh, well, okay, good enough.
Yeah, so that was a good fight, but you saw that he had to shoot a few arrows at the end there, and maybe his spins weren't quite optimally quick, so even though he had killed all the eyes, the main eyeball was still ready to shoot. We do see that Revolver is now a little low on arrows from those extra arrow shots, so he is probably going to pick up some extra arrow pots through Ganon's tower. We do have to fight Armos again. He's going to need 18 arrows for that, and so there's places for him to pick those up. He also might get an arrow drop because we know he's fairly far along in the prize pack that drops, one of the prize packs that drops 10 arrows. You may remember I was saying that he should have picked up those 10 arrows in Palace of Darkness, just like I was saying he should have picked up those hearts in the jail in Thieves both times. Not that I know better than Revolver, but it's just to say that decision making about hearts, about bombs, about arrows, and about magic is a big part of not really of skill in this game, but of just being able to get through a run, especially in a tournament. We do see Salatmann having a somewhat worse Vitreous fight. You saw that with his very first spin, there was an eye on the left that he didn't hit with that spin. You really don't want that because you want to start hitting the eyes on the right with your next spin after that. So that eye on the left survived, and so he had to take a little bit of extra time to kill it. He now only has 9 arrows. That should be enough, but that means that he'll be getting probably the 5 arrow pot in T-Rock, and then a free 5 arrow pot in Ganon's Tower. 19 will be enough, but he may pick up some extras just to be safe. We're definitely seeing some issues again on Death Mountain for Revolver. This new gold of his on Turtle Rock is quite good, 705.0. Yeah, these dead rocks got in his way a bit, and he bonked a bit as well. Yeah, Revolver, again having issues with super speed, even with the hook speed. I think that his hook dashes and hammer dashes, just like his spin dashes, I think he's having some trouble with. And I remember this from playing on keyboard. It's just a shame. I really wish that I know I'm not the only one who would chip in for helping Revolver out with a console setup for streaming, and I'm very curious to see how he would do with
Pretty
that.
sure it's not really. I'm pretty sure it's still the same on because all you really gotta do in order to do any sort of item dash is just press 2 buttons at the same exact time.
Yeah, it's weird. Some people feel that it's exactly the same, and for some of us, it's very different on one than the other. I had much more trouble item dashing and especially spin dashing on keyboard, and I played keyboard for the first year that I played the game. We're going to see Revolver hook shotting to this lantern here to get through the room faster, just to not have to go through the whole thing. He does get through these rollers. Remember, he doesn't have... So you use the hook shot. The hook shot gives you invulnerability. That gets you through some of the rollers, and then through some of the other ones, you just... one roller will damage boost you through the other one. So we know that his fairy is not coming, but he does have 10 hearts, so he should be feeling pretty safe. He is coming up to Chomps, which is one of the most difficult rooms in the game. We've seen a lot of deaths here this tournament, including, I believe, one from me.
Yeah, this dungeon really expects you to have blue mail, so most of the enemies here do like a lot of damage. Chain Chomps do 4 hearts of damage. The Pokies do 4 hearts of damage.
One of the worst things that can happen in the Chomps room happened to Revolver. I believe I saw Blunt Bunny die this way last night on PB Pace or the night before. What happens is that you're trying to use... When the blocks come up, you get invulnerable. So that's why you set the second cane block and then walk a little bit so that you release it so that the block comes up while you're standing on it. But what happens is that every now and then the chomp will hit you before the block comes up. Then you get just your normal invulnerability from the chomp. And as you're pushing the block, it takes so long that you're not invulnerable anymore as you finish hitting the block. So the chomp doesn't even need to come at you again. It's still there from hitting you the first time.
Yeah,
So
if you have that room you can have if you have really trash RNG in that room, then you're pretty much dead.
Oh no, a little bit of an issue for Salatman here. He got knocked off of his thing by this
Stalfos.
he's having some really bad luck with enemy movements in this lobby here. I think he's looking at a fairy, but he still doesn't have full health. He does have his powder though. Yes, there's his fairy.
There we go. All right,
Okay.
he should be able to go to his room just fine. Oh.
So he's a little worried
Come
about
on,
this.
change up, get out of the way.
Okay.
Oh. Okay, he's good.
Okay.
All right.
Good, yeah.
All right. Yeah,
Revolver,
that's an example of how bad that room can be.
Revolver using this block invulnerability again. This is a all through this dungeon. We're using block invulnerability and we're using hookshot invulnerability to make things quickly to make things quick.
And it's also to conserve HP because this dungeon is really, really hard.
Yep. We're doing a combination of conserving health. We see Revolver not going for hookshot invulnerability through these fire rods here. He will not have more than a heart of damage left.
Oh my god.
On Trinex, and he will also be in trouble if he misses. So normally you get the
that is a good strat right there on Salatman. You can use the fire rod to kill hit, which is useful, especially in that room because pokies move everywhere when it's a big room like that.
Okay, so we saw Revolver playing pretty safe on laser skip. What he did was, so laser skip is where you dash over the laser. You don't have the mirror shield, so you dash over the laser. He played a little safe on it, and what he did was he waited for the laser to stop shooting while he was up near the chest that had the key, and then he walks down and dashed. That gives you just a little bit of extra time, whereas ideally you're going to walk kind of through the back end of the laser. Now Revolver is going for the faster but riskier backdoor strat on Trinex. Blunt Bunny died with 10 hearts against me this way. I am worried about Revolver.
Oh, whoa! That's so interesting that what Salatman did. Yes, good fight.
Okay, that was very. So Revolver didn't take many risks there. He didn't go for the quick kill. He got one spin off, and then he went for all slashes. Very dangerous, but he did it quickly enough. Man, he really. I'm watching the restream here. He really almost got hit in the head a few times there. So good work by Revolver. I will say that Revolver now has a huge edge in this race. I would not expect him to have another dungeon like that Turtle Rock. That was really dangerous the entire way through, starting after Chomps. And I just want to say again, we said way before, Revolver did not do the prize pack manipulation strat that would have given a fairy before Chomps. I really highly recommend that strat to him or to anybody else. Having the beams on Chomps makes it a lot easier, and even if you don't get the fairy before Chomps, he would have gotten it after, which would have brought him to 9 hearts. Just a lot of reasons to hope for that fairy in T-Rock. We see Salatman now coming up on Trinex. Now remember, Salatman lost 2 minutes in Skull Woods. He's not going to be 2 minutes behind after this, so Revolver is probably thinking, man, if I hadn't messed up in Thieves Town, this race would have been over. I wouldn't have had to worry about anything now. I could have used all my safest strats. I could have died. I could have tanked everything.
Oh.
And Salatman is thinking, wow, if only I hadn't fallen in Skull Woods and then gotten Wallmastered, because he is on good pace here. He is threatening Revolver, but he just is not going to be able to make up those mistakes.
Oh gosh. Oh, nice.
Yeah, so we see Salatman is showing us that you can tank that hit. If you have enough hearts, you can just kind of spam slashes, and you're pretty much always going to get the last hit on Trinex that way. Salatman did get the double hit with the first spin on Trinex. But although a lot of us walk up after getting that double hit out of Fright, the fastest way is to just kind of slash a lot, to be honest.
If you're not feeling confident with Turtle Rock, you can. There's a exit behind the laser room that you can take advantage of, just so you're closer to the boss if you die, and you don't lose as much time. Because if you're not going for the mirror shield and you die, like near the end of the dungeon, then you have to start the whole dungeon all over again, and it's a lot of time lost.
So we're seeing Revolver. These first few rooms, there's not much combat. There's a lot of movement, a lot of bonking, a lot of walking around in various ways. And then after Armos, it's basically a lot of combat, basically every room. Somebody telling us we're good.
Here's a cool shortcut right there. You can bonk on that pot.
You can also bomb jump over that, but it's much slower and actually more difficult.
Yeah.
Revolver, okay, good. This is something you don't see much, but I wish more people would do it. Revolver walking over his bomb to get that chest with 10 arrows. Remember we had said he was very low on arrows, but an arrow chest, there's no text with it. It just gives you the arrows like a key chest.
Yeah.
So great work by Revolver.
Here's another arrow chest he's going to be picking up as well.
Yeah, so he went from low arrows to 13 is more than enough here. So
it's not going to pick up red mail.
Not going to pick up red mail, doesn't need it.
Yeah, red mail only truly helps you on Ganon. It helps on against a few enemies here in Ganon's tower, but really most of the time you're only going to be taking at least one heart of damage, no matter what suit you have.
Yeah, and somebody like Revolver, well, he has played Ganon's tower enough that, you know, he's done every single one of these rooms without getting hit before.
And this is definitely this is definitely like a really cool dungeon.
So Salatmann got stuck here. He doesn't know the backup. Evil Ash has a backup for this. Evil Ash, one of the kings of backup strats in this game. You can use the Cane of Samaria and set it. If you set it in the right place to the left of the blocks, if you get caught like that, you can just it'll hit the block, even though it doesn't look like it's going to. It'll go kind of around the side of that ledge and hit the switch. That's not many people know that. You probably have to be kind of like close friends with Evil Ash, like I am, to have known that, because I don't remember where that was published or if it ever was. It's certainly not well known. So a little bit of issue for Salatmann here. We see that he is 145 from his PB. So that's still all Skull Woods and 8 blue balls.
Yeah, Ganon's tower is extremely hard to optimize in a speed run. But if you do it enough times, then it's definitely not really hard. I know WQ, this is his favorite dungeon in the game. Okay, Landmula fight round 2 is done and over with. That was actually pretty good. You can one cycle that fight, since you have a fire rod, but it's really hard to actually do that. The Landmulas have to be pretty friendly with you. Here's another cool strat right here.
Yep, just using this this Cane of Samaria block again.
Yeah, beautiful. You can also use Ether. But, of course, the animation for using Ether is really long, so we don't really do that.
Yeah, I gotta agree with Devliak in the chat. This Ganon's tower has been very clean for Revolver. I didn't see most of his gauntlet because we were worried about that issue that Salatmann had. But
yeah, he got hit a few times by the Beamos during the gauntlet, but other than that, his gauntlet was really good.
He took a big hit there from those eye lasers in the wall. He's down to 5 hearts. That could be a problem on Ganon, but I doubt that it'll be a problem anymore on... 5 hearts is more than enough to get through the rest of this. And actually, there's a category of this game where you do this dungeon and Ganon with only 5 hearts.
Yeah, no EG.
Yeah, no EG. You need to pick up that magic there because you want to use the fire rod on Ganon. It's much quicker.
Okay, Moldorm round 2 done. You don't have to fight Moldorm round 2 if you hover, which saves 6 seconds if you get it first try. But of course, most people don't do that because it's extremely hard to do. It's not consistent, and it's kind of dumb.
Yeah. So good work by Revolver. He is looking at. Well, we'll see. Aghanim 2 is like Aghanim 1, but it's kind of
he
like
doesn't shoot out of lightning at all.
Yeah, he doesn't shoot out of lightning, and you have 3 chances to reflect back at him, so there's a lot more variability in this fight based on skill. It actually is one of the more neglected fights in the game. I personally think it's at least as difficult as Landmole.
Oh, you got a blue ball.
Yeah, so you see he'll still throw blue balls, but if you do it right, you can take him down in 2 cycles. We've seen that from some runners this tournament already.
It also takes a little bit of luck on his second cycle because yeah.
Really on both cycles, because sometimes you'll get a blue ball, which you can't reflect back at him, but there's also sometimes that just the geometry of the fight doesn't allow you to reflect back that many of the attacks.
Yeah, and you also don't want to reflect 2 shots both on both a few frames apart from each other. Otherwise, then the second attack will not do any damage.
Yeah, the damages will overwrite, and it's just a very trolly fight for all those reasons. And when it's done well, it's such a relief, and it's so impressive. So we see a 2-cycle Landmo 2 there. He had some issues. Salatman had some issues because he took time to powder that anti-fairy, which made the Landmoled spawn differently. Okay, so we had on Ganon with the tempered sword, which both of these players are using.
Yeah.
It's hard to get a 1+1 cycle, which we saw Revolver get. You need to get 12 hits where a spin counts as 2 and a double spin counts as 4. You have to get.
Okay, you got Torch Glitch. Torch Glitch is 1.1 and 1.0 only of all versions.
Yeah, and we're just seeing Revolver doing just fine here.
Yeah. The game intends you to have gold sword and silver arrows on this fight, which if you have the silver arrows, it is faster to beat Ganon with that. And assuming you do everything optimally, then skipping silver arrows and gold sword is faster.
I gotta say, I'm watching where they're at. I'm still, part of me is never going to stop wondering if Salatman hadn't had those issues in Skull Woods, whether he could have been.
Congratulations.
Threatened Revolver in this race.
Really, and he got the moonwalk.
Really a great race. A great win by Revolver. Good recovery. He got a 132 and he lost. What did he lose? He lost, what is that, a 12-minute
132.58. Very good run.
So he lost a lot of time in Thieves Town. I wonder if we can get him in here. I'm so curious what his thoughts are on that run. A lot of great play from him. Just a very unfortunate Thieves Town and some unfortunate things happening to his opponent as well.
Yeah. So yeah, that was great run for Revolver. Other than Thieves Town, I think Thieves Town was like the only major mistake that happened on Revolver's end.
Yeah, certainly it wasn't glorious play. It wasn't the best play we've ever seen from him, but he lost at least, let's say, 4.5 minutes from those issues in Thieves Town. So this would have been a mid-28 without that, which is certainly a fine time. I think Revolver would have been happy with that. I don't know if he's okay, he's coming. Mythical says he's coming. So we're gonna just talk to him, figure out how he feels about all this.
So meanwhile, Salatman's making his way to Ganon, so let's see how well he does on this.
And it looks like Salatman had a lot of issues here in Ganon's Tower. I think it must have been that period where he was stuck behind those blocks. Maybe some other things went wrong. We were mostly talking about Revolver. But really a shame some of the stuff that happened during Salatman's run, which really could have been a personal best and could have been a real threat against Revolver here. I'm personally quite sad to see Salatman exiting the tournament. I'm happy to see Revolver staying in, a very skilled player. But I hope Salatman will continue playing after this because he's improved so much. And I hope he got the 1+1. He's all set. Pretty good fight, really, from Salatman. Maybe we'll see a gold split there.
This is where red split would be very useful because then Ganon's most powerful attack would do 2 hearts instead of 4. Basically, I believe like most of the attacks do 4.
Okay, hopefully he'll undeafen himself and we can unmute him.
So to do the so in order to spin attack Ganon on the last phase, you have to like spin attack him 2 frames right before he teleports.
So we've got Revolver in here.
The trucks are not there. I don't know.
How you doing, Revolver?
I'm fine, thanks.
We were very impressed by your run, except for there was one segment that you had a bit of trouble.
Yeah,
you don't say.
We were very impressed that you So maybe you were a little nervous in Skull Woods after that. You got hit by the mummy, and then you bonked over the hole after the fire rod. So maybe you were a little bit nervous about dying again.
Yeah, I didn't want to die again. Yeah.
But then after that, you were right back on schedule. So
yeah.
Did you realize that Salatman had? Were you worried about your opponent during that, or?
I was watching the chat, so I knew that I was pretty close. I think I was 1 minute behind on one moment, or he was 1 minute behind, so I think it was good for the end.
Yeah, you were 1 minute behind after Thieves. So I was saying I expected you to come back anyway, but then he had a very troublesome Skull Woods, which I think we'll have him in here to talk about that soon. He also had 8 blue balls. How do you feel about? How do you feel about? So obviously, one thing goes wrong, and it can really throw the whole run off. I thought you recovered really well, but how do you feel about? So you were pretty rusty when you came into this tournament. How do you feel about your chances going forward? I know after this, you're going to have Blunt Bunny or Darko in the next match.
It's probably going to be the end the next match, especially if I have Blunt, because I still didn't get a sub 130. I had 133 and 132s. That's it.
Yeah, well, so, you were very. This run, except for Thieves Town, it would have been a sub 130. I was saying, I was saying all through Thieves Town, I was like, I expected you to get those hearts because you had been playing cautiously, right? I expected you to get hearts in the jail in Thieves Town. And you just, I don't know, you just kind of went for it in Thieves Town. And
I didn't know where the hearts are here. In the big corridor, you mean? I don't know where the hearts.
Yeah,
there is.
Yeah, there were
the hearts on the right side. The pots on the right side in the jail. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been too long. I remember the bunny beam because I used to go for that when I had the Poja, but I didn't remember the hearts. Yeah.
The other thing I was mentioning, I don't know. I don't want to lecture you. You had a great run and you showed some great play, and you're a better player than I am. The other thing I was mentioning, though, you had heart problems in T-Rock as well.
Yeah.
You should just take a look at the prize pack manipulation strat.
Yeah, I know that one. I never learned the strat for the tower. You mean? Yeah, I have to learn that.
There's like a really easy one where you go up and then do 3 slashes. The one where you go down and do 2 is faster. It's significantly faster, and it has the same effect. But if you're just looking for something quick to keep the fairy, what I do is I nudge up right and then I hit 3 beams and then I dash through, and it's fine. It's just, I was just really worried about you all through T-Rock because you had that chomps room. I hate when the chomps when you get hit.
It just go down a little and he go for it before you have the invisibility frames, and I don't know what I can do about that. It's the only RNG that I don't know what to do about it. And I was kind of lucky because sometimes he can push you out of the block and then you are really screwed.
I thought you were just pushed to the left. You would basically be dead if he had pushed you to the left and you hadn't ended up pushing the block.
Yeah, but Chomp's death is not too much time lost, so it would not
have put you behind. It would have made it a bit of a closer race, but you still would have been ahead.
Yeah, it's just
probably where we've seen the most deaths of any or boss. I think we had a 4-person race where there were 4 chomp deaths, where every
I think it made an interesting T-Rock then, because I had 2 hearts for the rest of the dungeon, and he was not too far behind. I knew if I died, we were like really close, so that was interesting. I was a bit cautious. I took some hearts in during.
We were thinking that you might hookshot invulnerability through the fire rods and then maybe pick up 1 or 2 of the hearts.
I didn't even thought about that. No. I do that only when I have 1 heart. I didn't think about when I have more than 1 heart, actually. I should do that, you're right.
No, I mean, it's good because you do, as long as you have the leeway, you do the same thing every time, and it pays off for you. And you certainly stayed alive. I mean, like I said, I was really nervous for you through that whole T-Rock, but you stayed alive. The Trinex was fine. The laser skip was fine. I saw that you played a little safely on the laser skip. You waited.
Yeah, I didn't, because the both times I was not on it. I would have bonked on the ledge, so I just went up and down, and it's really safe. What I did, it's really safe. If you know which pixels are right or wrong, it's really safe. You won't die there.
Right. What is your let's say, I mean, I don't want to. Dark Omega Magic is a great player, and there's every chance that he'll show something against Blunt Bunny. But let's say you do have Blunt Bunny next round. Are you going to change your strategy? Do you think differently about a match against?
No, I just want
versus rank 53.
I don't know if I'm gonna beat him, but I just want to get at least a 128 this time. And if he has a bad run and he has more than 128, I could win. But that's it. I just want 128. That's my goal. I don't want another 132 with 3 deaths and shit all over the place. Yeah. Because most of the time I'm playing pretty good, but it's small mistakes and it's 3 minutes each mistake. So I just don't want that.
Yeah, I definitely feel you on that with this kind of platform. And thanks to Feasel and Mythical and everybody who's been setting this up. We all want to just show our very best play every race with this many people watching and with this many people enjoying it. So, but at least I think your run besides Thievestown, which was such a strange kind of set of events that.
Yeah, I don't know. I played Blade, but the RNGs for the monsters were really bad. I didn't know what to do. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm rusty, but I think the RNG was pretty bad. Just for the smaller.
Yeah, a lot of places. There was the ghost outside.
Yeah.
And there was the lizard, and then there was the Poe. Exactly. Well, congrats, Revolver, and
Thanks.
I certainly hope that good luck on your next race whenever it happens. And I have full faith that you'll get at least your tournament sub 130 for that race.
Yeah, I hope so. Thank you. Bye.
GG to Revolver. Sorry.
Hey, hello, Salatman.
Hey.
We were so first of all, condolences on. I guess this will be your last race in this tournament, but I wanted to say that of everybody in the tournament, you've maybe improved the most out of people who, like, you're ranked 53, but you're not playing like a rank 53. You gave Revolver a run for his money, and he has a 126. So what do you want to say about, do you have anything to say about your improvement through this tournament, or how you've treated the game since the tournament started?
Shan is having some difficulties.
So we're gonna figure out whose noise that was. I apologize to everybody.
It was M-Chance.
Okay, I think that was M-Chance. Apologies for that. There was no problem from him the whole time, but okay. So Salatman, I'm sorry. What was I saying? I was saying you improved a lot during this tournament. Do you have any comments about, reflecting back on it and how much you've improved? Do you have any comments about it?
Yeah, well, I've pretty much started running Link to the Past as the tournament began in late February, and I'm kind of a competitive guy, so I thought to myself that I will practice very much and very hard to get at least some wins. And so I've pretty much practiced very much. Didn't do so many runs at all the last weeks. So I've made save states for every room. I learned strategies for every room, and I tried to get them down. And that pushed my PB actually a little bit down. I started with like sub 2 hour when I've signed up for this tournament, and now I'm at mid 130 regions, like 134. And I'm very glad about it. And well, it's practice, and motivation, because the tournament in itself very much motivated me. So I kept going round for round. I kept going on, and that made me practice another day, another hour. Yeah, pretty much the tournament.
I should note, just looking at your history over the tournament, you went 2-2, and you were the 53rd seed, and you played the 11th seed, the 21st seed, the 34th seed, and the 37th seed. So as the 53rd seed, you played all higher seeds than you, and you went 2-2. So that's a very impressive performance. And you were. So I wanted to ask about. Did you know, coming out of Thieves Town? I don't know if you knew that Revolver had a lot of trouble in Thieves Town, but coming out of Thieves Town, even with 8 blue balls, you were ahead. Were you nervous? Because I noticed that right after Revolver had his bad Thieves Town, you had some strange issues in Skull Woods. Maybe some characteristic problems. Did you know that did you get nervous because you were ahead, or did you just?
Yeah, I actually had my girlfriend watching Revolver stream, so she told me he had a very bad time in Thieves Town, and I knew I was ahead after blind, and I was getting shaky. I don't know why, but I fell into the hole I've never had been fallen to.
Yeah, did you know how to go through that part?
I didn't know, actually. I remembered through by casual. I played it casually, so roughly I did know where to go, but it took me like 20 seconds.
While to remember, we had Revolver have a similar thing where Revolver wasn't sure what the quickest way to go back down to the basement. Often when you practice everything that goes right, it can be really hard to figure out what to do when things go off script. And falling in that hole was definitely big. I think but besides Skull Woods, just great performance, and those 8 blue balls were so cool. But you honestly, this was a race where there's an 8-minute difference in personal bests, and you really gave Revolver a run for his money. So we really enjoyed watching and casting this race. I gotta say, I hope that you will continue playing this game at least in some of the races we do, the weekly races and stuff. I know you're out of the tournament now, and you said that was a big part of your motivation. But I'm just, I'm interested to see. You've even got your girlfriend on your team. Props to her for. That's not.
Props to my girlfriend. Shout outs to her.
Yeah, I think a lot of us who have romantic entanglements kind of shamefully hide our speed gaming from our significant others as much as we can. Maybe, not that I'm speaking from personal experience or anything. But yeah, congratulations, and we hope to see, even though you're out of the tournament, we hope to see more runs from you.
I'm definitely going for the sub 130. That's my goal.
I think you're going to be there, and your improvement has been at such a pace. It's just really impressive. I fully expect if you stick with the game, you will cut me someday, and you will be in the top, one of the top seeds of one of these tournaments. One of these days. So just congratulations on all your improvement. Congratulations on yet another really impressive race performance. Really gave Revolver, a great player, a run for his money, and ended with a gold split, which is always a great feeling.
Yeah, gold split run is always a good run.
Yeah.
At least you improved something during the race.
Yeah, actually my Ice Palace was 1 second of gold, and I somehow pushed the select menu on the last slash for Cold Stare.
When you went into Cold Stare, I said you were. I might have jinxed you a little bit of commentator's curse, because I think I said that you were on gold pace going into Cold Stare, because I was really impressed, because you came back from that Skull Woods. A lot of the players like me, I would have been on tilt, right, and I would have messed up even more split after split, right. But after that Skull Woods that gave you so much trouble, you gained time for the next 3 splits, so that was really impressive. And that Ice Palace, without you had that select button and you hit the Y button an extra time, I think, for the fire.
Yeah.
And without those, it would have been gold. But it was just a great performance. Great performance all throughout the tournament. I think one of the most inspiring performances of the tournament, given where you started and where you ended up. So definitely, everybody who doesn't follow these runners, please do.
Yeah.
Revolver again in maybe a week or so, and in 5 minutes we're gonna have yet another great race between.
We have Casnode versus Christos Owens coming up very soon, and then later on at 9 Eastern Time we have Blunt Bunny versus Darko, which is going to be the bracket that Revolver will be going against the winner of any of those two. So stay tuned on that later on.
And Casnode versus Christos Owen, that's a 13 seed versus a 19 seed. So really, you can expect some very crisp play and some fireworks in that race. I don't know if I'll be sticking around for the commentary. I'm going to see who else is available. But you will definitely be hearing us again in 5 minutes.
Yep. All right. Well, hope you guys enjoyed the match, and we will see you guys on the next match very soon.